I do enjoy esoterica. Love it, in fact, because it reveals so much when you know thyself. And I'm looking at two things, which I said I'd do, which is the Emerald tablets of Thoth and the halls of Amenti. And there was a song by David Bowie, which I'll put in a link in the description, so you can watch David Bowie's song. Now, some of you might be a bit bewildered by this journey. Well, that's often the case when you discover that you're in the wilderness, which is okay, because there is a shepherd, so to speak, which is your own higher consciousness. And if you respond to the simple instructions, clean your house, go within, you'll be led out of the wilderness. Now, this is, when I say the wilderness, this is the psychological landscape of your own mind. And it's about bringing the mind to the light of the inner truth, as opposed to all the horse shit that we've been fed all our lives. Anyway, this is the halls of Amenti, and you learn to break things down. So meant I. So ment means mind, it's Latin. So a mind's eye. Okay? So straight away, you've got quite a profound clue, albeit an incredibly simple one, because the truth is always simple. So kiss. Keep it simple, stupid. Be like a child. Because if you are straining at details, what was that saying in the scriptures when Jesus was berating the idiots, the Pharisees, the scribes and the Sadducees? You strain at gnats and swallow camels. Remember, the devil's in the detail. So be like a child. Don't think too much. So I'll read the halls of Amenti, and as we go through, I'll break it down. So deep in Earth's heart lies the halls of Amenti. So deep in the Earth's heart lies the halls of a mind's eye. Far beneath the islands of sunken Atlantis, the lost city, the lost civilization, because it's sunk. There you go, it's all in here. The brain sinks in a cerebrospinal fluid. The halls of the dead and the halls of the living, bathed in the fire of the infinite all. The fire is symbolic of spirit, which is consciousness. Far in a past time, lost in the space-time, the children of light looked down on the world. Matthew 6:22. Let thine eye be single and your body will fill with light. When that happens, and you are, by default, a child of light. Be like a child, for heaven is full of such creatures, or such children, as opposed to creatures. But ultimately, we are creatures. Seeing the children of men in their bondage. So you look at humanity and the current state of affairs, and you recognize it as slavery. Bound by the force that came from beyond, knew they that only by freedom for bondage could man ever rise from the earth to the sun. So the bondage it starts within the mind that's locked down in its little box, can't get out, it's in bondage, and the energy is low. So you rise the energy to the sun within, that infinite light, the fire within. Down they descended and created bodies. Here you are, taking the semblance of men as their own. Ooh. The masters of everything said after their forming. So now you've got the children of light, which is the children of pure consciousness, 0 point energy. and they've manifested in this reality to free men from their bondage. Now, men is the mind, it's the intellect, yours and everyone else's. That's your job, if you was wondering what your purpose was. So the masters of everything said after their forming. Ooh, masters of everything. Wow. Wisdom. Wisdom. Wiz means wise. And dom is Latin. It means master, a wise master. We are they who were formed from the space dust, partaking of life from the infinite all, living in the world as children of men, like and yet unlike the children of men, which harks back to the scriptures of Jesus. You know, be in the world, but be not of it. All these scriptures link to the same thing. It's all the same thing. Then for a dwelling place, far beneath the crust, the earth's crust, blasted great spaces they by their power, spaces apart from the children of men, surrounded them by forces and power, shielded from harm they, the halls of the dead. Side by side then placed they other spaces, filled them with life and with light from above, builded they then the halls of Amenti, that they might dwell eternally there, living with life to eternity's end. So the halls of Amenti is indicative of the ventricles of the brain. And in the ventricles of the brain, you've got the pineal gland and the pituitary, and that's where everything happens. And the pineal gland is Jerusalem. It is the source from where all light flows. Yerushalayim, that's what Jerusalem means. And it's got nothing to do with that fake country. All countries are fake. They're just mental projections to keep mankind divided and in a state of mental bondage. So ignore all that shit. Or you can look at it, but turn it inwards. 32 were there of the children, sons of light, who had come among men, seeking to free from the bondage of darkness those who were bound by the force from below. So the force from below is the lower energies, where the carnal mind has all these desires. But if the energy stays down there, it can't rise to the light of the sun, which is within. This is why I did the symbolism thing with the tie, and the tie points down, and it tells everybody with eyes to see and ears to hear that the individual wearing a tie is a slave. It's a leash around their neck. It's funny, isn't it? You get a puppy and you initially put a leash or a lead on a puppy's neck, or any animal for that matter. They don't like it. They fight it. They resist it. They try and pull away from it. It's only when they become used to it that they accept their bondage. And yet humans, they put their tie on and as if it gives them some kind of status. They're proud to be a slave because they've forgotten their first love. You know, going to school and having to put a tie on to go to school, because that's where all this fucking program starts. You know, children didn't like wearing a tie. It was horrible because children know the truth. It's intuitive. Deep in the halls of life grew a flower, flaming, expanding, and drawing backward the night. Well, this is indicative of the chakras, or the crown chakra. It's like a lotus blooming. It's using the same kind of symbolic speech, because symbolism is a language, and it should paint pictures in your mind, and then it reveals itself. Deep in the halls of life grew a flower, flaming, expanding, and driving backwards the night. So ignorance, the darkness of ignorance, is being banished by the light of consciousness. Placed in the center of a ray of great potence, life-giving, light giving, filling with power all who came near it. You know, that character Jesus in I think it was Matthew 6:23, he said, you know, how deep is that darkness? So get into the darkness, no fear. Face the darkness within you. And you're looking, you're watching, you're searching out, you're hunting for the light within you. But it's not a one-way street. The light within you is coming towards you. You meet halfway. Meditation. Medi means middle. And you're looking for the fire within. Pyramid. Pyre. A. Mid. Fire in the middle. It's all the same thing. Oh, I've lost my place now. Just a moment. Yeah, life-giving, filling with power all who came near it. Place they around it thrones, 2 and 30. 2 and 30. 5. 2 and 3. 5. Places for each of the children of light, placed so that they were bathed in the radiance, filled with the life from the eternal light. 5. I would presume, an educated guess, that would be the 5 senses, to allow you to navigate this reality and also navigate within, because you turn your senses inwards. There, time after time, placed they their first created bodies, so that they might be filled with the spirit of life, consciousness. 100 years out of each 1,000 must the light-giving light flame forth on their bodies, quickening, awakening the spirit of life. 100 years out of each 1,000. I don't know, but to me that speaks of a quickening of the spirit. Oh, no, I get it. 1 in 1,000. So one person in 1,000 will experience that quickening, and then they'll tell others. There in the circle from aeon to aeon sit the great masters, living a life not known among men. There in the halls of life they live, they lie sleeping. Free flows their soul through the bodies of men. Time after time, while their bodies lie sleeping, incarnate they in the bodies of men, teaching and guiding onward and upward, out of the darkness into the light. So this is indicative of the Great Spirit, which is in you, and it's waking you up. You can feel something taking your hand as you approach all those different crossroads in your life. And as you walk the journey and you come to these different forks in the road, you won't know what to do. But the spirit of that consciousness will take you. And it can be quite a painful process as well. There'll be things that you will do things that you don't really want to do. But later on, you'll realise that it had to be that way, and that's just the way it is. There in the hall of life, the ventricles of the brain, filled with their wisdom, known not to the races of man, living forever, neath the cold fire of life, sit the children of light. Times there are when they awaken, come from the depths to be lights among men, infinite they among finite men. Right. Light is consciousness. Everything is conscious. Nothing is not conscious. So consciousness is the energy that manifests this reality. And when that spirit of consciousness works through you, you'll experience that initially as synchronicities, and which will increase in your life. It's like you This sounds counterintuitive now, because it's like you have no control of your life. That's not the case. It's a recognition that your life from its inception was for a purpose, and you no longer need to exercise control over your life because it's in higher hands, so to speak. And it's the ego that tries to control everything, and then life comes along, you know, so the ego makes a plan, and then life happens to remind you that your plans are nothing more than a fucking vanity. Okay, so, but that process in itself initially can be quite alarming for individuals that are beginning to wake up the giant within. Lost my place again. Yeah, so these people are infinite. They're not constricted by this three-dimensional time and space. And they recognize that, where they can manifest and manipulate matter in the micro and the macro, which is alarming when it happens. It kind of reveals itself to you, and then you're a bit, With great power comes an even greater responsibility. And that's why the mind has to be a servant. It can't be a ruler. And at that state of consciousness, you won't want to rule anything anyway. Ruling is against natural law. And finite men, those are individuals trapped inside the three-dimensional time-space. They can't understand that. They either want to rule or control, or they want to be ruled over and controlled. And both is against natural law. He who by progress has grown from the darkness, lifted himself from the night into light, free is he made of the halls of Amenti, free of the flower of light and of life, guided he then by wisdom and knowledge, passes from men to the master of life. There he may dwell as one with the masters, free from the bonds of the darkness of night, ignorance. Seated within the flower of radiance sit 7 lords from the space-times above us, helping and guiding through infinite wisdom the pathway through time of the children of men. Mighty and strange, they veiled with their power, silent, all-knowing, drawing the life force, different yet one with the children of men. Aye, different and yet one with the children of light. Custodians and watchers of the force of man's bondage, ready to loose when the light has been reached. First and most mighty sits the veiled presence, Lord of Lords, the infinite 9, over the other from each, the lords of the cycles. Now 9 is indicative of universal consciousness. Jeremy mentioned, I think it was Jeremy mentioned this to me. Jimi Hendrix had a song, If 6 Was 9. The number of man is 6. It's the upside down consciousness. But if man makes himself upright, the 6 becomes a 9. So if you think about it this way, if the mind is in the lower regions of the body, it's a 6. If you move it up into the higher regions of the body, it's a 9. So it's about energy and consciousness. Both things are the same thing. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, each with his mission, each with his powers, guiding, directing the destiny of man. There they sit, mighty and potent, free of all time and space. Not of this world they, yet akin to it, elder brothers they of the children of men, judging and weighing, they with their wisdom, watching the progress of light among men. Therefore, before them was I led by the dweller, watched him blend with one from above. I was going to do a video about the rapture. In fact, I still will. I've mentioned this in other videos, that you merge with the unified field. And the unified field is energy. It's all energy. And if this is a pen, and you recognize it as a pen, it's just a simple biro. But the mind has a tendency to objectify everything. Oh, that's a pen, because I can see it's a pen. It has the shape of a pen, so I know it's a pen. But the spirit doesn't do that. The spirit doesn't objectify. It forms. So so the field, the unified field, makes the space around the pen. That enables the mind to see the object in this manifest reality. Now, when the two become one, when the mind, the body, and the spirit merges with the unified field, that means then that you are both the object and you are also the space around it. Now, when that happens to you, it's a bit of a mindfuck, because the mind can't deal with this. It always plays catch up. So the mind becomes aware of these things, because the spirit will teach you, and because it has to. Because if it just did it like that, that wouldn't be good. That's why the Apostle Paul, we'll all be changed in the blink of an eye. Be careful with that. Be careful with the Apostle Paul's scriptures. The Apostle Paul is indicative of the ego. Now, so that's like a merging and a blending, which is the rapture. Okay, it's the merging into higher consciousness and into the unified field. So you have 1 foot in the unified field and 1 foot in this physical plane. So it's like a blending of the two. Now, if I'd have read this 4 or 5 years ago, I wouldn't have had a clue what it meant. Right. I have to find my space again. I do apologise. There we are. There before them was I, led by the dweller, watched him blend with one from above. Then from he came forth a voice saying, Great are thou, Thoth, among children of men. Thoth is indicative of higher thought. From henceforth of the halls of Amenti, master of life among children of men, taste not of death, except as thou will it. Drink thou of life to eternity's end. Henceforth forever is life, thine for the taking. Henceforth is death at the call of thy hand. So you have the power over life and death, because you are the embodiment of life and death. So you can choose when to manifest into life and when to unmanifest. You can choose life and you can choose death. So you can exit the stage when you see fit. Dwell here or leave here when thou desireth. Exactly what I just said. Free is Amenti to the Son of Man. And this is what it means to be free. When Jesus said, the truth makes you free, this is what it means. You're not bound by traditions or nonsense learnt by rote. You don't listen to what other people say. Why would you? You're a god, for fuck's sake. But people have like, it does not compute, because a part of the program is to externalize God, to put it outside you. But it's not. It's inside you. Turn everything inwards. Right then, right. Free is Amenti to the Son of Man. Take thou up life in what form thou desireth. Child of the light that has grown among men, choose thou thy work, for all shall must labour, never be free from the pathway of light. So you've all got to work. Ooh, let me just plug my battery charger in. Move that a little bit. Just a minute, the battery's about to go dead on my phone. Should have checked that beforehand, but never mind. There you go. Where is it? Yeah, so we all, work, labour. That's the nature of this reality. But you'll get to a point where your labours are not in vain. Your labours are not a waste. The labour that you have chosen is to benefit you when you join the dots, and then you recognise that your story is a profoundly beautiful story. It's still a story, but you won't judge it as, oh, I'm just this or I'm just that, because you're far more than any of those things. Now, one step thou has gained on the long pathway upward. Infinite now is the mountain of light. Yeah, it's infinite. It has no boundaries. It has no borders. It's not restricted in any way, shape or form. It's free. And to have anything that restricts it would make it not free. It is a realm of pure potential. Each step thou taketh but heightens the mountain, all of thy progress but lengthens the goal. Approach ye ever the infinite wisdom, ever before thee recedes the goal. So it's like that song, the road goes on forever. There is no end to this. So as you move, you see the light in the tunnel, and you're going through the tunnel and the light's there. The light will always be there, and so will the tunnel, if you have that mental picture to play with. But that doesn't mean that it's running away from you, because it is you. Free are ye made now of the halls of Amenti, to walk hand in hand with the lords of the world, one in one purpose, working together, bringer of light to children of men. Bringer of light. Light bringer. What's the Latin word for that? Ah, yeah, Lucifer. This world has perverted the truth. So a light bringer is Lucifer. But what they've done is they've attached what they call Satanism to Lucifer worship. Now, if you want to protect the truth, what you would do is you would teach the peasants that that's evil. And then the parents have, the peasants, having accepted everything that's been given to them, never chewing the cud and thinking for themselves. Whenever they hear the word Lucifer, ooh, Satan, and they run away from the truth. Because Lucifer is a fallen consciousness. But when Lucifer wakes up, then he will want to go back to where he came. He wants to rise up, back into the light. Get it? That's what it means. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Why on earth would that be evil? Everything's been inverted and flipped. Now, right. Working together, bring of light. Yeah, bringer of light to the children of men. What are the children of men? First of all, it's children. To teach children the truth. Okay, so what is a child then? Speaking esoterically, a child is somebody who has an open mind, and they're listening and they're understanding. Then they respond. And but that's external. But internally, a child of men is the chakras. The chak, which is a wheel, a spinning wheel. Energy, everything's cyclic, everything's spinning. And Ra is light. So each wheel of Ra spins up the 7 seals of revelation and opens this eye here. The light of wisdom, the light of Ra. Then from his throne came one of the masters, taking my hand and leading me onward, which is what I alluded to a moment ago, in the crossroads and things, through the halls of the deep hidden land. Led he me through the halls of Amenti, going on a journey in your own mind's eye, showing the mysteries that are known not to man. So this is the great revelation. This is what you people should be aspiring to. This is why cleaning your house, get that energy moving, light those wheels of light up, light this up, light up. Going within, to go on that journey. And it's not known to man because it's not given to them, but you can give it to yourself. And it will be given to you freely. And that's why taking money for this is a crime. Through the dark passage, downward he led me, into the hall where sight the dark death, vast as space lay the great hall before me, walled by darkness, yet filled with light. Before me arose a great throne of darkness, veiled on it sat a figure of night. Darker than darkness sat the great figure, dark with the darkness, not of the night. Before it then paused the master speaking. Bloody computers froze. Oh, come on, you creature. Before it then paused the master speaking, the word that brings about life, saying, O master of darkness, guide of the way from life unto light, from life unto life. Before thee I bring a son of the morning, as in S-U-N, a son of the morning. Touch him not ever with the power of night. Call not his flame to the darkness of night. It's ignorance. Know him and see him. I've been talking about this, about being known, to be seen, to know and to be known. That's what this is about. One of our brothers, lifted from darkness into the light. So the darkness of ignorance, the mental bondage of not knowing and not being known, lifted into the light of consciousness. Release thou his flame from its bondage. Free, let it flame through the darkness of night. Which comes back to the character Jesus saying, if you have a lamp on a lampstand, lighting up, you don't hide it under a bushel. A bushel's a thing that you use to extinguish a lamp. Raised then the hand of the figure. Forth came a flame that grew clear and bright, rolled back swiftly the curtain of darkness, unveiled the hall from the darkness of night. So those verses there, when you go into meditation, you are in the darkness and you're looking for the light, and the light's looking for you, which I alluded to a moment ago. You've got to go in the darkness to to find the light. My own personal journey, I was in the darkness, this really fucking horrible place, which I can like, hell is a mental condition, and I was in that place for a long time. And some of the things that were going off in my head can't be repeated now. It just seems so far away. But then, of course, I found the flame. I found the light within, and it found me. So the darkness is your lower carnal mind, and it's in the halls of Amenti, where it's just darkness, and it's looking to see how deep that darkness is. But at the same time, your higher self is there as well, your essence, and that's looking for you. The two must become one. The wolf and the lamb, they lie together, you see. The wolf is the Apostle Paul, the ego, and the lamb is, the higher consciousness. And they're brothers, neighbours. Love thy neighbour as you love yourself. And love your brother, you see. Then grew in the great space before me, flame after flame from the veil of the night. Uncounted millions leaped there before me, some flaming forth as flowers of fire. So this is talking about millions of individuals now achieving this ascension of their own consciousness. Others that shed a dim radiance, flowing but faintly from out of the night. Some that were there that faded swiftly, others that grew from a small spark of light, each surrounded by its dim veil of darkness, yet flaming with light that could never be quenched. Never. When you have this, it cannot be taken from you. Coming and going like fireflies in springtime, filled they with space with light and with life. Light is life. They spoke a voice mighty and solemn, saying, these are lights that are souls among men, growing and fading, existing forever, changing yet living through death into life. When they have bloomed into flower, reach the zenith of growth in their life, swiftly then send I my veil of darkness, shrouding and changing to new forms of life. Ooh. A caterpillar is out there on the leaf and the branches, and it's eating all the leaves, and then it makes a cocoon, it goes into the darkness, and then it comes out of the cocoon, a magnificent butterfly. So it was in the light, then it goes into darkness, and it comes out with something completely different. Conscious evolution. steadily upward throughout the ages, growing, expanding yet another flame, lighting the darkness with yet greater power, quenched yet unquenched by the veil of the night. So grows the soul of man ever upward, quenched yet unquenched by the darkness of night. I, death, come, and yet I remain not, for all life eternal exists in the all. The all is, when you meditate, the blackness. That is the potential. That's where it all comes from. It's how do I put this? It is everything that